David. Senator Rubio, one of the lazier pieces of political conventional wisdom is that so-called social issues are hurting Republicans with young people. But on the two most prominent social issues, polling with millennials actually moves in different directions. On one hand, it's clear young people across the political spectrum increasingly favor marriage. However, young voters have not moved to the left on abortion. In fact, large numbers of them favor at least some modest restrictions that conservatives have supported. How do you speak to millennials on both these issues while Democrats will inevitably charge intolerance and extremism?
Well, first of all, I don't believe that believing in traditional marriage the way I do makes you a bigot or a hater. It means that you believe that this institution that's been around for millennia is an important cornerstone of our society. I respect people that believe differently, but I believe deeply that marriage should be between one man and one woman. On the issue of life, to me, the issue of life is not a political issue. It's a human rights issue, and it's a difficult issue because it puts in conflict two competing rights. On the one hand is the right of a woman to choose what to do with her body, which is a real right. And on the other hand is the right of an unborn human child to live. And they're in conflict, and as a policymaker, I must choose which one of these two sides takes precedence. And I've chosen to err on the side of life. Here's what I find outrageous. There has been 5 Democratic debates. The media has not asked them a single question on abortion. And on abortion, the Democrats are extremists. Why doesn't the media ask Hillary Clinton why she believes that all abortion should be legal, even on the due date of that unborn child? Why don't they ask Hillary Clinton why she believes that partial birth abortion, which is a gruesome procedure that has been outlawed in this country, she thinks that's a fundamental right? They are the extremists when it comes to the issue of abortion, and I can't wait to expose them in a general election.
Governor Bush, I want to come to you. Your allies have recently attacked Senator Rubio for being too pro-life to be elected in November. You've made a similar charge today in an interview. This is a pro-life party. Do you stand behind that criticism?
Look, I'm pro-life. In fact, on this stage, I'm the most pro-life person because I've acted on it for 8 years as governor of the state of Florida, where we abolished partial birth abortion, where have the right to be notified when their teenage child is having an abortion. We were the first state to do a Choose Life license plate to raise money for adoption. We were the first state to have state monies go to crisis pregnancy centers, which recently was just increased to $4 million a year. We created greater regulation on abortion clinics where there were horrific procedures. So I'm pro-life, but I believe there should be exceptions. Rape, incest, and when the life of the mother is in danger. And so that belief and my consistency on this makes me, I think, poised to be in the right place, the sweet spot for a Republican nominee. And others may have a different view, and I respect it. But I think we have to be cognizant of the fact there's a lot of people that are concerned about having a pro-life position without any exceptions.
If I may respond, I do support an exception for the life of the mother because I'm pro-life. I just believe deeply that all human life is worthy of the protection of our laws. If I'm president and there's a bill that's passed that saves lives but it has exceptions, I'll sign it. But I do believe deeply that all human life is worthy of the protection of our laws. I've already said, for me, the issue of life is not a political issue. And I want to be frank. I would rather lose an election than be wrong on the issue of life.
Governor Christie, you too have talked about Senator Rubio's position on the life issue. Some conservative activists have called this line of attack harmful to the pro-life cause.
Well, I've been pretty helpful to the pro-life cause in one of the most pro-choice states in the union. I stood up for the first time, and now for the last 6 years, we've defunded Planned Parenthood, not talked about it like they do in Washington, D.C., but for 6 years as governor, Planned Parenthood does not receive that funding from the state budget anymore. Over $50 million worth of money that's been saved now that is not going to do exactly what Hillary Clinton wants to have done as advocated for. She believes that that organization, which engages in the systematic murder of children in the womb, to maximize the value of their body parts for sale on the open market is an acceptable position. Let me tell you something. I don't care whether you're a millennial or whether you're in your 90s. No one is for that type of activity unless you are the most radical type of extremist on this issue, like Senator Clinton and her party is on this issue. And I'll say one other thing. The fact is that I believe that if a woman has been raped, that is a birth and a pregnancy that she should be able to terminate. If she is the victim of incest, this is not a woman's choice. This is a woman being violated. And the fact is that we have always believed, as has Ronald Reagan, that we have self-defense for women who have been raped and impregnated because of it, or the subject of incest and been impregnated for it. That woman should not have to deliver that child if they believe that violation is now an act of self-defense by terminating that pregnancy.
Thank you all. Back to you, David and Martha.
Mary Catherine, thank you. We're going to have closing statements here in just a moment, but before we go, a quick lightning round. Come November, 2 battleground states, but they face off tomorrow in the Super Bowl. Governor Kiesling, who wins?
Of course. Carolina's going to win that one. I hate to say it, but they're going to win that one.
Governor Bush?
Peyton Manning's supporting me, and I'm for Denver.
Senator Rubio?
Well, I was going for Peyton Manning, but now I'm rooting for Carolina.
Paul Cam. Mr. Trump?
Carolina. With an eye to February 20th, Carolina.
All right, Dr. Carson.
With 100% certainty, I will predict the winner. It will be either Denver or Carolina.
Yeah. Governor Christie, the last word.
Denver.
Denver. Thanks so much, gentlemen. Closing statements in just a moment. Right here as the ABC News Republican debate continues from New Hampshire right after this.
I learned that I was conceived when my birth mother was abducted by a serial rapist. She actually was thrilled to meet me, yet shared with me that she went to 2 back alley abortionists, and I was almost aborted. But abortion was illegal in Michigan at the time. I was born July 22nd, 1969. That's exactly 3.5 years from the Supreme Court ruling in Roe versus Wade. So my birth mother did not choose life for me. She chose abortion. But pro-life advocates who, without even knowing of my exact existence, yet recognized that mine was a life worth saving. And they made sure that abortion was illegal in Michigan, even in cases of rape. No exceptions, no compromise. They are my heroes. And I owe my life to them. And that is why I, in turn, do the same for others. The reason why you get to hear from me today is because of those people who saved my life. You have the opportunity to do the same thing here today. And actually, 4 months ago, 22 years from the day we met, my birth mother and her husband legally adopted me. You see, I am a blessing to her. I bring her healing. We know from all the major research done that this is the case. Women who give birth after rape do excellent, whether they parent or place for adoption. They express that there was something very healing in having something beautiful come out of something really awful. But the ones who have the abortion express that it was far more difficult to overcome the abortion than it was the rape. They're 4 times more likely to die within the next year. They have a high murder rate because the abortion often helps perpetuate an abusive relationship. High rate of suicide, drug overdose, domestic violence, divorce, depression throughout their lives, and on and on. So it is not even compassionate for the rape victim. We know with incest that it is the perpetrator who is protected by the abortion. Not only does the rape typically end for her when she gives birth, but also for the other young women in the household who are being raped. If you really care about rape victims, you would want to protect them from the abortion and not the baby. A baby is not the worst thing that could ever happen to a rape victim. An abortion is. But people just assume that she would be better off and that most rape victims would want an abortion, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They only choose abortion at about 15 to 25%, depending on the study, which is half of your average crisis pregnancy, which I think is very telling. And the majority of rape victims choose to raise that child. People would say, well, don't you think it's a bit extreme to force a rape victim to have to carry the rapist baby? Okay, I am not the rapist baby. Doesn't even know of my existence, as in most cases. And what an insult to those majority of rape victims who are raising their child to suggest, after everything they've been through, that their child is the rapist baby. And I think it's extreme to tell another living human being that they're garbage, that they were not worthy of protection, and that they don't deserve to be living. I think that's extreme. I've done extensive research on it, so I'd be happy to answer those questions. I think it's a red herring to suggest that this would hinder IVF and hinder treating infertile couples. Now, let me just add, I went through infertility myself, but I knew that there was no way I was going to go to someone who does IVF. And I found pro-life fertility doctors with NAPR technology, things like that. They actually have a much better success rate and the children are born healthier. And I got pregnant the first month. But I wasn't going to go to one because I know that these IVF doctors are abortionists. You know, that's what they're really concerned about. The fact is that they perform abortions on a regular basis. It's called selective reduction therapy. And they have their clients check off boxes, choosing to destroy embryos and choosing abortion before a single child has even been created. Totally premeditated. And that is what they're really concerned about. It's not that, oh, we're not going to be able to treat infertile couples. That's provided for within the statute. The truth is that they don't want to be able to not be able to perform these abortions and to be able to do this premeditated killing. People would, I explain to people that, you know, whenever you identify yourself as being pro-choice, or when you make the rape exception, that what that really translates into is being able to stand before me, look me in the eyes and say to me, I think that your mother should have been able to abort you, which is like saying, if I had my way, you'd be dead right now. And that is the reality with which I live. It's like, describe for me how it's not, but I know that people don't put a face to this issue. For most, it's just a concept. And I hope that my story and the dozens of other life-affirming stories on my website of women pregnant by rape and people conceived and raped can help to put a face, a voice, a story to this issue. This is not simply just a concept, but there are real people involved. And I hope that one day you'll have the blessing of having people before you who can say, you're my hero, you saved my life.